let's go ahead and move on. This article came from PBS. For all you people that say, oh, he's a Fox head, he's a Fox News talking head. No, I'm not. I'm reading from other articles. So after the bill was passed, the spending bill from PBS, it says Congress approved new election certification rules in response to January 6th. And this article was written on December 23rd. Remember, the bill in the Senate passed on the 22nd of December of 2022. Congress on Friday, which says on the 22nd, gave final passage to legislation changing the Arcan law that governs the certification of the president contests, the strongest effect yet to avoid a repeat of Donald Trump's violent, inflaming push to reverse his loss in 2020. The House passed a overhaul of the Electoral Count Act as part of its massive end-of-the-year spending bill. After the Senate approved identical wording Thursday, this legislation now goes to President Biden for his signature, which he has done on the 30th of December. Now, ladies and gentlemen, reading this, I have a question. Why were there election laws in the new spending bill? Now, I want to quote President Biden on this. Biden hauled this provision inclusion into the spending bill in a statement Friday, calling it a critical bipartisan action that will help ensure that the will of the people is preserved. Him saying that got a bill passed in a spending bill that shouldn't have passed. Well, shouldn't have been in the spending bill. Because this is my whole question. What the hell an election law is put in a spending bill when it has nothing to do with spending? Think about this, okay? There was an election provision put in a spending bill where there was no spending involved in it. This should have been dead on arrival. And Republicans, remember I just said they wanted certain things in this bill, military, and they wanted things that helped them out. So they went ahead and voted probably for something good, but got 20 things that were bad. Now, there's a lot of pork in this bill, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of pork in the last spending bill, the $1.7 trillion bill. But ladies and gentlemen, normally on spending bills, you only need a simple majority in the Senate. You only need a simple majority in the House. And that's it. The bill gets passed because it's something with spending. And if you go look at the history, I think it's the 1900s where they changed the rules and regulations on it. I understand that. But ladies and gentlemen, why put an election bill in a spending bill when it does not have nothing to do with spending? And why didn't the Republican Party say, hey, let's put that up by itself on a vote and get that out? No, they all voted for it. Republicans voted for this. Now you can have the argument about January 6th, that they don't want that to happen again. And look, in 2024, it's going to be a lot differently. Previously, you could go ahead and just one senator, one congressman, and then you go up to contest the electoral votes that were coming in. Now, I think you need 1/5 of the Senate and 1/5 of the Congress to object just to a set of electors. Now, we don't know if that's one or the one that posed. We don't know. I didn't go dig deep into that. And also, it talks about how the president, the vice president, is a more ceremonial law. We're going to talk about that in point number 3. But my first point, why is this in this bill? You know why it goes into the second part? Because this was the only way it would pass. What I'm going to talk about, if you would put this up by itself, up in the Senate and the Congress, you would notice that they would not reach 60 votes. It wouldn't, ladies and gentlemen. Just blame, because American citizens would say, well, wait a minute. Why do you want to change election laws? Or why do you want to change election outcomes? Why you want to change this? Why you want to change that? And it would raise red flags to where conservatives like myself and libertarians and Republicans, they would have called their congressman, they would have called their senator and say, please don't vote for this. This isn't right. Don't vote for that. And it would have been a big issue. And also, like I said, this would have faced the filibuster. But because it was put in this spending bill where you only need simple majority, if I'm believing correctly, no, you don't need to. Hey, we don't need 60 votes. Now, like I said, the overall package passed with 18 Republicans supporting this. But ladies and gentlemen, it wouldn't have got passed. And look, I just talked about big government, big spending, and I just explained to this whole in this first segment. Big government does this stuff. Big government wants something passed, so they go around the will of the people and put something in to oppress you. That's big government. Big government. Any big government. Go to any communistic, socialistic country where the government is in control, and you're going to see that they put things to oppose their will on the people. Ladies and gentlemen, America did not want this. America did not want these election laws passed. But you know who wanted it? The elected officials, the big dogs. They wanted this bill passed. So they found a loophole that they can go ahead and push their will on you. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry, I have to say this. The Republican Party was part of it. Now, that could be because of some never Trumpers. They're possibly using this to contest Donald Trump if he would win in 2024. I really don't know. But ladies and gentlemen, the government found a loophole to oppose their will on you. But didn't Biden say this is to preserve the will of the people? No. I believe that more than the man on the moon. Also, as I said earlier, the vice president is more of a ceremonial rule now. According to the new rule, the vice president can't send back electors. He's there only to hold the peace. And he's more of ceremonial role now. Ladies and gentlemen, now this was a big talking point back in 2021. And look, I started in 2020 right after the election. I remember all this. I covered that. I think it was Andrew Jackson that was the vice president. He needed certain votes. He contested Georgia, and he got the Georgia votes pointed to him, so he became president. And he did that all on his own. And he was the vice president of the United States, but he was the president of the Senate, and he had certain powers. And it has always been a question: how much power does the vice president have in that role as the president of the Senate? Donald Trump made argument that he could stop electors or send electors back to the states so the states can go ahead and figure out what was going on, how would it work, whatever like that. And Mike Pence said no. Mike Pence said, well, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to be a ceremonial rule. And that's what a lot of people believe led to January 6th and the riot on the Capitol. But Donald Trump making these arguments, and the left been trying to say no, we need, because they did this in HR 5 where the vice president was a ceremonial rule. It didn't happen. And now they snuck it in. They got what they wanted. They snuck it in with Republican help. That now the vice president is more of a ceremonial rule. Now it's cemented in law. I can honestly say the vice president can't do nothing no more. It's up to the electors, or it's up to the senators and the congressmen. But it raised a question. Donald Trump raised a question on Truth Social. Why change this rule if it was always ceremonial role? If the vice president of the United States, as the Senate president, it was only a role, a ceremonial role that the Congress and the House and the Representatives all did. Why did they change this rule? Because, ladies and gentlemen, I hate to say it, and might be the conspiracy side of me. It maybe wasn't a ceremonial role. And I'm not saying it was. I'm not saying it wasn't. I'm just saying the Democrats hurried up to try to change this rule. Now this is the problem with this rule for the Democrats. If you think about it, if it wasn't ceremonial and the Democrats want to deny an election like they did in 2000, like they did in 2004, like they did in 2016, They won't be able to tell the vice president, hey, do this, do that, do this, do that. And that's a lot of things with this. Ladies and gentlemen, this is what's bothered me, this whole thing about this bill. The big government, our government, big government, went ahead and found a loophole to put all these provisions in. Now, and look, I'm going to quote President Biden again because he says critical bipartisan action that will help ensure the will of the people is preserved. Remember what I just told you, quote Ronald Reagan. You run when you hear the government come and says, I want to help you. Because the government don't help you, ladies. And look, I think I've proven this. Why was this not on its own docket? Why wasn't this in its own section to go ahead and vote on its own? Because it wouldn't have got passed no other way. So they put it in a spending bill where you only needed a simple majority, and they opposed their will on it. Because like I said, no American wanted this. No American wanted this bill passed. But because big government wanted it, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do it. We're going to do it because it's going to preserve. See, you dumb, ignorant Americans, y'all don't know what's good for y'all. Us, the government, we know what's good for y'all. We got to do it by hook or crook, but we know what's good for y'all.